Just east of Vancouver is the fastest growing city in Canada. On average, 1,000 people a month make the move to Surrey. Surrey-Newton is one of 4 federal ridings found in this sprawling metropolis of 500,000 people. They come from a wide range of ethnic, cultural, and religious backgrounds.
To give you an idea of the cultural diversity of this riding, consider this. We are standing in front of the Faith Lutheran Church, but if you went about a block that way, you'd come to a mosque, and if you went about a block that way, you'd come to a Sikh temple.
And the 4 candidates represent that diversity as they are all members of a visible minority. The riding boundaries have changed since the last election, which saw Ginny Sims of the NDP elected as the area's MP.
Hello, hi, how are you? I'm Ginny Sims. I'm the Member of Parliament for Surrey-Newton, and I'm running in this election.
On a soggy Saturday, Sims is doing what every candidate believes is vital for electoral victory.
Hello. Hi, how are you? Good. Just about to leave. What's up? Okay, I'm Ginny Sims.
Rainy Saturday. Is this the best way for you to be spending your time?
Well, I've got to come and meet up with the constituents, and I think going to their doorstep is one of the best ways for us to communicate. A lot of people are very busy in their lives, and they don't have time to come to meetings. And it's their opportunity to say hello to their candidates. I've been an MP here for 4 years, and I do this regularly.
It's an old-fashioned way of vote getting, isn't it? Knocking on doors.
It is, but it's that personal contact that counts, right? And what's nice about this is if they've got questions, they get to ask them, and they get them answered.
You are the MP for this area, but not specifically this riding because this is a new riding. Is that correct?
It's I used to be an MP for Newton North Delta. North Delta is now part of Delta, and they expanded my riding to 144.
And has that helped your chances or hurt your chances, Ms.
They are
Simpson?
exactly the same.
Makes no difference.
Makes no difference. I think it was a difference of about 50 or 100 votes. That's the only difference it made.
And tell me about the riding. Do you live here?
Yes, of course.
And what's your personal experience with this riding? Very diverse.
It's very diverse, with a very large South Asian population. It has a Filipino population as well. Number of Muslims, people from Korea, people from China, lots of Europeans, Ukrainians. It's a very, I can honestly say, diverse. That's the only way to put it.
It sounds like a microcosm of Canada.
It does, and but in this particular area, it's also diverse in its economy. So you will get people, you know, who are struggling to make ends meet, and you will get your multi-million-dollar homes.
The Liberal candidate is former MP Suk Dhaliwal. He won the riding in 2006, then lost in 2011 to Ms. Sims. On this day, he is trying to regain the voters' trust by attending a fundraising walk for ALS.
And more importantly, all of you that has come out in a rainy weather like this to be part and parcel of what is needed for the people that are vulnerable to this disease. I salute you, and I'm happy to be part of it here, and we have a CPAC channel, parliamentary channel here today as well, and which will help us to raise the awareness. So again, thank you. Enjoy the walk.
Is this a good way for you to spend your time in this extremely competitive campaign? You could be out door knocking instead of walking for ALS.
But if you look at this as the type of thing that inspires me, this is the type of thing that gives me power. And we say knowledge is power. You know, where does my knowledge come from? My knowledge comes from people, that hundreds of people are joining today for the ALS walk. When I was talking to them, and they were talking about the compassionate care, like the Wendy, the executive director of the society, she and her organization worked very hard to achieve the compassionate care from 6 weeks to 26 weeks. And now, if you look at the policy that Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party brought in on compassionate care, we are not going to see if the loved one is dying. Like before this, we needed a letter from the doctor that your loved one is dying within a certain number of weeks, then you get the compassionate care. But now, if he get elected, we are going to bring in a policy that will help, people with disease like ALS.
like ALS.
Right. So I should be here,
Okay.
because this is what inspires me when I see young people, elderly people, people in the wheelchair, they come out. I should be here.
Yeah.
Instead of door knocking, I have enough time to go out in the evening and do the door knocking.
But this riding, the margins of victory have been wafer thin in the past. I mean, you've won and lost by very small margins.
And that's the beauty of it, because this is what I believe in. I believe in challenge, because I came to this country with very little, but without speaking much English, but I took a challenge at that time. And look what country has given me, and this society has given me basically everything, from a $20 worth Suk Dhaliwal today, right, with a family who's established. Two of my daughters, I'm proud that they both became doctors, my elderly parents living with me. I have a small business that's running in the riding, creating jobs, opportunity for the people here in Surrey-Newton. So this is what is important now, because every vote counts. We cannot take anything for granted. And this riding, this Surrey community, been a home to me, my family, and my business. And I take a pride that to be competitive, so as we don't get lazy.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Good. How's everything? Wow, great. Okay. So, how's everything?
Everything's great.
Wonderful. How's the business going?
Good. A little slow now because wedding season's dying out.
But your is always, the best out of the lot, so
Thank you.
great.
Thank you, Harvey.
Any fashion shows going on or anything?
No, probably next year.
Oh, that's nice.
Or the end of the year. I'm
Okay.
not sure yet. It's a
Okay.
lot of work.
Great.
Harpreet Singh is a well-known local broadcaster and journalist. He is hoping to parlay that recognition into victory for the Conservatives.
I'm Harpreet Singh. I have 23 years of experience being in the media. In India also I was a journalist. I landed in Canada in 2002. What a beautiful country it is. And I was very lucky to get into my own field. And in Canada also I have been a journalist. So as far as the Conservative Party is concerned, when I was in the media, I had the opportunity to meet all the party candidates, all the party leaders. But what touched me was, ultimately last year, was the values of the Conservative Party match my values. So that's why I came forward as a representative for the Conservative Party.
Explain what those values are and how the two mesh, Harpreet.
The most important thing is this party also believes in family values, and we also, having our cultural roots strengthened in our own culture, we believe family is the most important thing.
The fourth candidate seeking election in Surrey-Newton is 26-year-old Pamela Sangha, representing the Green Party. As a child, she ran the fields of the Newton Athletic Park as a field hockey player. Now she comes here to watch her younger sister play.
26 years old, graduate of the University of Victoria, poli-sci degree, running for the Green Party, right?
Yes.
Okay. Obvious question, how come?
I'm running for the Green Party because I want to protect the environment for my generation and future generations, and I don't think anybody in the House of Commons currently, other than Elizabeth May, is doing that. And I also am just big on job creation, clean job creation, and making sure that we live in an affordable time, because I'm 26, and even though I'm debt-free, I still don't feel that things are affordable with my income and with my degree.
But maybe the reason you're debt-free is you're still living at home, and that is a factor, is it not?
Absolutely. I live at home, and my parents paid for me to go to university, but I still don't feel any ahead of the game because I still need ample amount of experience to have an entry-level job. I still relate to people who go to university, finish a 4-year degree, are insurmounted with debt, and then they have to work for free at an internship before they can gain experience, before they can get an entry-level position that won't even begin to help them pay down that debt.
So is that one of the key planks of your platform, is lower tuition fees for students?
Get rid of tuition fees.
How's that going to work?
If you look at the Green Party budget, the budget just came out in the platform. The way we have it set up is we can abolish tuition fees completely. Anybody with more than $10,000 worth of debt we can also get rid of, and it's just by taxation. And it's just reallocating those funds.
Different candidates from different parties with different ideas. However, there is one common and terrifying theme that they are all trying to address.
What do you hear from those people that do answer the door? What are their concerns about this riding? What are the issues?
They're worried about crime, and they're worried about safety. I mean, we've had so many shootings, over 30 now, in the last 6 months. We just had 2 in the last 4 days. And
that's terrifying.
It is terrifying because you got seniors too scared to leave the home. And the last lot was in a school playground, right? Strawberry Hill Elementary School. So my community is worried, and we've been pressing the government for the extra RCMP officers, which the minister last spring said had already arrived here. They're still not here. No, we still only have a handful. And I know that policing isn't the only solution to gangs and drugs and violence, but you need the RCMP with boots on the ground addressing these issues, and then we need to invest in education, early intervention, and rehabilitation. But the other thing I hear from people is they're worried about their young kids. They're worried about education. They're worried about them getting placement in universities and then the high debt load. But the biggest worry they have is, even with an education, will they get a decent paying job? Because so many university graduates now are without jobs and are working in precarious employment. And with the minimum wage being just over $10, under $11 right now, people can't support their families, and these students can't afford to pay back their loans as quickly as they would like to.
So now you've articulated the problems. What do you say to those constituents about what Ginny Sims and a Thomas Mulcair government would do to address those issues?
Well, first of all, on the crime and safety issue, I think my riding's very much aware of the work I've been doing in Parliament. We've had lots of forums here in the community, but also I'm action-oriented. So what I do is we get groups going. I spend a lot of time with youth. I go into all the schools. But we have pushed, I think, harder than anybody on this government to deliver on the resources so we can fight and address the crime and safety issues. I also have regular meetings with the police inspector in my region so that I can keep them updated. And yesterday, for example, when I was door knocking, I went back to an area I had been to about 2 months ago, and every doorstep must have thanked me. And I thought, what's going on? And they said, you know, since you came, the police car comes by at least twice a day, because they had told me about activity at the end of the road. The other thing is about affordability, right? It's about decent paying jobs. We just ship out our jobs to other countries. BC, our wood is a prime example. What we do is we load up trucks with logs, or we put them on ships. They go overseas, they get made into 2x4s, and then they come back to us and we buy them. And yet I can remember a time, because I've lived in BC since '77, that our BC was booming. You had mills, you had paper being made, and a lot of the processing of that wood was being done in Canada. So I think we have to get back to that and growing the jobs here.
What are you hearing when you're knocking on doors?
People are concerned about the crime situation in Surrey.
There's been, what, 35 shootings in the last month and a half?
A month and a half, and that's what it is. And Mr. Harper's plan to build jails and spend billions and billions of dollars on jails is not working.
You suggest that Mr. Harper's plan of building more prisons is not going to solve the crime problem in Surrey. What will?
That is correct. And first and foremost in Surrey, we have to deliver 100 police officers immediately, because that is part of the contract in Surrey contract with the federal government. That has to be delivered. Number two, Harper is spending $130,000 on each inmate, but he has cut funding to charitable organizations that help for our young people to keep on track, that before even they commit crime or get into that part of the society, that they help, and that is where we got to focus. So number one, we will make sure that those 100 police officers are delivered to Surrey immediately. Number two, we got to make sure that we put the money into the societies, organizations that help our young people to prevent crime. And if you look at my history as a member of parliament on crime, I have always been tough on crime, but at the same time, we got to make sure that we put money into the preventive measures. If you look at Mr. Mulcair, he would not support any legislation to be tough on crime. But my record and my history in the House of Commons when I was elected is very clear. I have always supported to be tough on legislation so that we are able to provide the toughest legislation to deal with hardcore criminals. Right now, you don't, first-time minor offenders are not the ones that we should be focusing. We should be focusing on gangs. We should be focusing on hardcore criminals.
What do you say to people when you knock on their doorstep and they say, what are you going to do about the crime in Surrey?
Right. That's one of the most important issues in Surrey-Newton, and I'm very proud to say that it's only the Conservative Party which came up with 30 such bills which were against this kind of crime which is coming up in our communities. And it was very unfortunate that the present Member of Parliament voted against that. So when I go to the people, it's not just a police issue. I am going to divide this riding into 4 parts. Every 2 months we'll be having open town hall meetings where people like you, me, law enforcement agencies, councillors, we all sit down, do some brainstorming and come up with ideas and solutions. I feel the people are disgusted with the politicians. I have door knocked over 18,000 homes on my own. Wherever I go, this is the same question. People don't believe in the politicians. I want to bring that belief back into the politicians to walk the talk, not just talk only.
And yet, your opposition would say that it's Mr. Harper's policies, his get tough on crime policies that he's been employing for the last number of years, have not worked in Surrey.
Well, all over Canada the crime rate has gone down, but in Surrey-Newton it is going up. So definitely...
Why is that?
Yes, because the demographics what you talked about in this particular riding are different from the other riding. So that's why I say in this riding we have people virtually from all countries of the world. So I want to involve them. Every culture has its own thinking. Every culture thinks in a different manner. But unfortunately they never get an opportunity to sit down and listen to them. And the politicians who have been representing this riding before never ever have taken this initiative to involve the community in decision making. So as I said, I'm going to divide this riding into 4 parts. Every 2 months we'll be having open town hall meetings where I'll call the public, listen to them and involve them as to what needs to be done. It's going to be a 3-pronged approach. Number 1 is involvement of the community in decision making. Number 2 is going to be education for the parents and children. When people from India or Pakistan or Bangladesh come over here, the parenting styles are different over there. When they come over here, it's different. So they don't get an opportunity and they don't get the time also to understand what's going on, because the moment they land here, they're struggling to get a job. Both husband and wife are running for a job and the child gets not that attention which he or she should get. So we will educate the parents as well as the children, and third approach is going to be more police. And I'm sure when all these things combine, definitely we'll be able to control the situation.
I've been told that there are members of the South Asian community who are reluctant to call the police, who are reluctant to say, you know, I think my child is going down the wrong road because they're afraid it'll reflect badly on them.
Right.
Is that a fair statement? Is that true as to what's happening?
Yes, to some extent it is true. Because
how do you break that habit or pattern?
Right, absolutely. Why it is? Because from the countries we come from, there the police is not serving you. People are afraid of the police to go to the police. Canada, nothing to worry. So that's why I say education for the parents and children, to make them know and make them aware of what their rights and obligations and what are their responsibilities.
It makes me really scared that my 14-year-old sister is jaded to hearing gunshots every other night. A 14-year-old kid shouldn't be jaded to that fact.
Do you concede that this is going to be very difficult to achieve a victory here?
No. Most people pay attention to the election in the last week, and especially people in my generation. And I think that most of the people who live here are seniors and millennials. And I think that once I'm talking to people, and everyone that I've talked to is so fascinated that, hey, I'm this 26-year-old, I'm completely fluent in Punjabi and English, I'm well educated, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to represent Newton. Because I'm kind of weary of hearing all the negative aspects of Newton, and so is everyone in my community, and there's a lot of positive things that I can bring about, and I know that.
So when you are talking to people, and you are trying to be that sponge that takes in information and ideas from the constituents, what do they say are the issues in Newton?
the only thing that anybody really talks about in Newton nowadays is guns and gang violence. And it's a major concern because just recently an elementary school got caught in the crossfire. The shootings are a bit earlier in the day now, so people here aren't completely comfortable. And I think that the biggest problem with the gun violence is that we don't have preventative measures in elementary and high school. I think that if there were community heroes, if there were mentorship programs, if we gave these kids something to do, if we inspired them that there's something more to do here than to be involved in drugs and crime, I think that it would eliminate a lot of the violence.
How do you explain the toehold that drugs and crime have got in Surrey more so than other parts of Metro Vancouver?
I think this community has been, I can't explain it. I'm not sure. It's been something that's been rumbling around since I was in high school, and it's just lately become such a bigger thing. And I think it's because of cuts to programs. I think if you're an elementary school kid who's in grade 7 jumping to this ginormous high school and you just become a student number and a teacher doesn't really even know your name, you see them for 1 hour every other day, I just think, and you get involved with the wrong group of people or wrong group mentality, you have nothing to do after school, I think that's the issue. And I think as someone who had a million things to do after school, who was always busy, whose friends were always busy, I think it's kind of a different mind frame now. Kids sit on their phones now, as opposed to this.
Getting out and kicking a soccer ball around.
Yeah.
So do you think that the answer to this problem is restoring those programs for after-school activities or in-school activities, or just articulate what that solution might look like? It's not just more cops.
No, it's not more RCMP. It's mentors. A kid might not listen to somebody like me, but if you can get him or her to relate to somebody, or somebody who's been through what they're going through, or has come out of this whole situation, and we can get people like that to come in and mentor and donate their time and talk and build community heroes and have more programs like Ball Don't Stop or Drive Basketball and just implement and get these kids involved, I think preventative is a lot better than dealing with the problem after the fact. And if we have a return a gun program, consequence-free, get rid of the guns. The Green Party wants to legalize marijuana. It'll probably help eradicate some of the dial-a-dope behavior in Newton. I feel as though if we abolish tuition fees, these kids they'll see, hey, I can go to school, I can afford to go to school, I can get an education, and I can do what I want to do.
Oh, great to see you.
I recognize you, and I appreciate your work. She said you were her inspiration for becoming involved.
All 4 candidates for Surrey-Newton present points of view they hope will resonate with the voters on October 19th. In the past, this area has voted Conservative, Liberal, and most recently NDP. The people we talked to did not reveal much of a trend for any specific party.
Are you aware that there's an election going on in Canada?
I don't know which way we go.
Are the issues of interest to you? You're engaged in the election process?
Yes, we do.
But you haven't made your decision yet?
No, well, so I go NDP.
Well, I like Harper. Just that I have a problem with the immigration problem, right? That we have enough of our own to look after. Charity starts at home. That's what I believe.
If of importance to you, this
I think economy is the issue, because Conservatives are doing really good. Last 7-8 years we did very well.
Yeah, it always has my attention, yes.
And what issues are of importance to you in this election?
I think our schools, the school system and the cutbacks and everything, and also the ongoing thing with our medical system, right?
So have you got a party that you're leaning toward?
I can't really say. I don't want to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You will vote?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll vote.
Are you going to vote?
No.
Got your attention yet?
No.
Is it going to get your attention?
I should be more involved, but I stay out of it.
I haven't voted in years or whatever.
If you don't vote, you can't complain.
No, that's right, and I don't complain.
That apathetic attitude is not uncommon. However, it is particularly galling for the candidates who understand better than some that voting is not a right to be taken lightly.
Proud to be a Canadian. What else pride can I have? Just 12 years in Canada, and I'm running for a public office. In my country, it would have been a dream, not even a dream also. This country is an open opportunity for everyone, irrespective of their caste, color, or skin. So I, yes, am a role model, and of course, I will always take the issues of the people further, because I know I'm the only candidate who lives in this riding. I know what the immigrants are going through. I know what the Canadians are going through. And I'm not going to talk about one particular community. I'm a Canadian. I'm going to talk for the Canadians.
Millennials think that politics is for boring old people and it's not something that engages or interests them. What was it that spoke to you about the idea of becoming politically active?
I come from immigrant parents who came from a country where they weren't allowed to vote, and my dad was a big integral part of why I am in politics, because it's about making changes and making sure that people can flourish, and it's about voicing your right. And I think it was from when I was a kid, it was implemented that, hey, we have this right to vote. We're here, it's a privilege. So, and the reason I think a lot of people in my generation don't vote is because they have no one representing them. We have baby boomers making decisions for people my age and we're going to live with the consequences of those decisions. So I'm running because I want millennials to know that I'm going to represent them.
But that kind of success that you've documented, what Canada has provided for you and your family, is that something that a person like you takes to heart more than someone who's lived here for generations and kind of assumes this is what Canada's all about?
And I hope they don't. And this is what I talk to my daughters, right? I mean, they worked hard to achieve, degree in medicine, but it shouldn't stop here. You know, when society has given me everything and it's giving my family everything, this is what I first, the things start at home. I tell my daughters to make sure that they be part and parcel of making a difference in people's lives. And this is what I believe in. So I'm not worried about the comparative riding. The people of Surrey-Newton Delta has elected me twice. I lost with the least margin in BC last time around, and I'm sure that they will give me a chance because I'm working hard.
For me, the most important thing is you vote, and you make an informed vote. It's not about you have to vote for the NDP, you have to vote for this party. People have died to win the right to vote for us. They have sacrificed a lot historically. So for me, I say to even my own kids, look at the platforms, ask questions, but then also look at the individual candidate in the riding. Can they go there and represent you? Are they articulate? Do they understand the issues? Do they have the depth? And do they reflect who you are?
And once they've done all of that homework,
then I want them to vote for the NDP. No.